like I said, this is really just to get ideas, to get excited, to think about whether you want a New Year's resolution, what that might look like, and also more importantly, how you're going to stick at it and how you're going to like follow throughout the year. What I'm going to be doing is sharing kind of some of the background, some of the ideas to think about when we start going through some of the ideas, so that when we get to the ideas, and there's 4 of them, you'll have a much clearer idea which one's going to work for you and your personality type and how you kind of work, your strengths, rather than kind of picking a goal out, like just out of the blue. Like around this time of year, this is when people start thinking about next year. They're like, do you know what? Next year I'm going to do such and such, such, such. And generally this time of year, we also feel like our ego is quite inflated about the next year ahead. Like we're feeling quite good. We're looking forward to Christmas. We're thinking, I'm so busy now, but come the new year, I'm going to have so much more time. So we tend to be unrealistic about our goals. So I'm going to be going through, like I said, 4 different ideas that will work depending on you and your personalities and kind of what you've done in the past and what's worked. So I'm going to jump in. Like I said, make this like a pantomime. If people are waiting to come in, shout at me. If you've got a question, shout. If you don't want to talk and you'd like somebody else to ask you a question, you can put it in the chat box, and I'm sure Amy, Kelly, Daniel, Wendy, anyone that's here will very happily pass on your question if you're not confident enough to speak. So we shall begin. And like I said, super informal. I'm no expert on this. I am simply a, come on, work. Cool. This is just stuff that I've done and things that I share in my practice. So I work with other people, helping them with their goals, and mostly confidence, mostly parents. So it's just things I've come across and I just want to share with you guys this time of year. So this is me. I also now can't see your faces, so I don't know what kind of faces you're pulling. You can do absolutely anything. It's fine. So this is me. I studied for 2 years to do my coaching and NLP certification. So I worked really hard on it and I know what I'm doing. And I got accredited. I even won an award for my academic achievement. So I've been practicing coaching for a while. Like I said, focusing mostly on confidence and working with parents to help them kind of with working on their identity, really. A lot of people feel like they've lost their identity through becoming a parent. And because of that, they feel like they don't achieve what they necessarily want to achieve. They're not necessarily doing what they want to do. And so it's kind of aligning identity with goals and bringing the confidence part in. And actually now I am working on my master's of the psychology of mental health and well-being. So I'm doing that kind of alongside that at the moment. It is quite intense. It's a lot more hours than I intended it or thought it would be, but that's another story. And I'm also a single mom. So I'm kind of presenting this and doing this from that perspective that I know it's different when you're not in a partnership. I know that goals look different and the amount of time that you have to focus on them or even kind of plan things out is different when it's just you, because you don't always have the time or the mental headspace to do those things. So the things that I've pulled out and shared with you today have that in mind. And fun fact, I am a complete and utter macaroni cheese addict. So much so that in our house we have macaroni cheese Monday, and we have literally macaroni and cheese every single Monday. It's slightly different every time, but generally it's, you know, standard. We might put some mustard in there, horseradish. So if you are a macaroni and cheese addict, please share recipes with me on Frollo. I would love that. So we're going straight in. A recent study, and this is really recent, so a 2020 study, can you tell that I am studying right now, showed that 55% of people were successful at, oh look, I can admit people. Ta-da! If you're just joining, welcome, I'm Colleen. I just did a little intro about who I am. If you have questions, I can't necessarily see them, so please feel free to shout out. It's absolutely fine. So yeah, 55% of people are successful. So at least it broke the 50% mark a year on, which is pretty good, but that means 45% of people didn't. Now other studies show that actually 3/4 of us don't make our New Year's goals. So there's ways to make it more successful. There's ways to make sure you're in that 55% rather than in the 45. And also people seem to think that changing a habit is easy. And when I say habit, I don't necessarily mean things that you would think of, like maybe smoking or yes, drinking, or unhealthy eating, like necessarily habits in that respect, but habits is in your behavior. So the things that you do, patterns of behavior that you do in reaction to something else. So it might be that you kind of have a fear of failure, and so therefore you don't set goals because you're worried that you're going to fail. That's a habit as well. Or you might be somebody who has got a history of people pleasing, so you kind of put others' needs above your own, even if that's to your own detriment, or even if that causes you harm in some way. But it's a habit because you do it anyway in response to a trigger. So on average, it takes 66 days to form a new habit, and that's 66 days of doing consistently and being aware of it and bringing it into conscious awareness. So if you think about that, you've got to be kind of a month and a half in before your New Year's resolution really starts sticking. And that's not to put you off, it's just to have that in the back of your mind when we go through some of these techniques. So you start to think, could I do that? Does that work for me? Or actually for me, is changing a core habit of mine something that's a little bit too much? Is a step too far right now, based on the resources that I have? And then finally, accountability and support is a key factor in success. Many studies showed this. So accountability meaning like you share it with a friend, you share it on Frollo, like we could start an accountability thread after this if people wanted to. And getting support, like I said, if you're working on a behavior or a habit, sometimes getting additional support to maybe work through why that is or how to do it, or like breaking it down in a way that works for you, is a key factor. So also try and build in ways to do that as well. Just letting people in. Hi, if you're just joining, I can't see you because I'm sharing my screen, and I also can't see if you've got questions, so please let me know if you do. So just, sorry, my cat's going mad. Please keep yourself on mute, but if you've got a question, just unmute yourself and go for it. Absolutely fine. So as I was saying about the habits, those are really important. So it's really easy to change your intentions, and that is sort of like I just said, by saying I'm going to do this and this, or I'm going to stop drinking, I'm going to eat healthily next year, or next year's the year that I start meditating every single day, or whatever it is that you decide to do. And we're going to think a bit more creatively about that. So these ideas are a bit more out of the box than that. It's easy to do that. It's easy to sit there and consciously and cognitively go through that and think, this is what I've achieved this year, this is kind of what I want to do next year, and really logically and realistically work it through in your head consciously. That's the easy part. We're really good. We're conscious, cognitive beings. We think things through. We have that forebrain. We're very lucky in that respect in comparison to the rest of the animal kingdom. So we can do that. We can set our intentions consciously, but it's much harder to change our behaviors. It's much more difficult to change those responses in reaction to triggers, because they're unconscious. They're things that we do. 90% of what we do is just unconscious behavior. It's just things that we instinctively do. And so there's a very small part that is actually the thinking part. I can see questions. Hi everyone, sorry. Don't worry about being late, that's absolutely fine. So far I have just introduced myself, talked about my love of macaroni cheese, a little bit about my training, and just talked about some of the reasons why New Year's resolutions maybe fail, like why the traditional way of doing things might not work, and how it's important to kind of look at your personality traits and how you, you work and your habits, and start thinking creatively about what you're going to do. Questions. Hi. Cool. I didn't know I could see questions while I was doing it. This is awesome. Makes my life so much easier. Okay, so the best approaches. So this is pulled together from a lot of actual psychological research. This isn't things I've necessarily just written down for the fun of it. This is also based on my own experiences. So me personally, things that I've tried and sometimes succeeded at and sometimes not. So it's based on kind of my experiences on that, but also from people that I've worked with and what I've seen works with different personality styles, different learning styles, what we call an NLP about people's maps of the world. So we can all experience the same thing, but how we perceive that is very much based on our personal experience, so our lens. So this kind of covers everybody, all personality traits, and most people's experiences. So first off, be realistic. I mean, that's kind of, you're like, Colleen, that's really obvious. I know it's obvious, and it's part of your SMART goals. If anyone's ever been in corporate, SMART goals are, they like to band those around, but there's better ways of doing things. But what I mean by be realistic is base it on how you feel now, not how you think you're going to feel or what you think you might have in terms of resources. Base it on what resources you have right now. Because we sometimes, like I said, have an inflated view of what we might be capable of in the new year. We kind of think, in the new year, I'll have more time because Christmas will be over, or once the kids go back to school, I'll be able to focus a bit more, have a bit more headspace, or, once I cleared the Christmas decorations away, then I'm going to spring clean. So we kind of always base things on the future and what resources and things are going to be happening then, not how we feel right now. So I really want you to kind of tune in and build that awareness of, how do I feel right now? What right now do I need? And what would I like to gift myself right now if I could? Not kind of thinking necessarily about next year, what might happen, what might change. And next is another obvious one, I'm sure you'll think, is to make it really small steps and mini goals. And this, when I say smallest, it's like taking it down to the tiniest step, the smallest thing that you can do to build up to the bigger goals. So this is where we start in NLP called chunking up. So you really want to start building up from the smallest things to create the kind of bigger end goal. And third, in regards to accountability and support, which is obviously my fifth step, keep track of your progress. There's some fantastic apps out there that help you track progress. I heard of one the other day, which it was specifically about keeping time away from your phone, but I'm sure it might do other things, and there are others similar, where you, in the app, it grows a tree. So from a seed, it grows like a small sapling, and then it grows bigger. So the longer that you stay off the phone, your phone, or the, if you hit your goal of not being on your phone a certain amount of time a day, you grow your tree. So that's a really cool app. There's others. Goal Meter is a really great one. It's really colorful, it's really interactive. There's another one just called Habit Tracker, but it's a specific one that I will share with you guys if you want to. But if you just search in the App Store, if you've got it, or Google Play Store, you'll find some great ones if you are an app person. Alternatively, if you're really techie, build a spreadsheet into Excel, and then you can tweak it exactly how you want. And if you're more kind of a pen to paper person, like have a grid on your fridge, anything that helps you track your progress. And for certain apps as well, like if you are into meditation and things, they will track it for you, exercise ones as well. So keep track of your progress, because not only does it motivate you, generally keeps you focused, it's really cool to see how you're getting on and what's changed. And a lot of them let you put journals into that, so you can keep notes of what you've done that day. Sorry, my cat's doing something, eating something she's found, I don't know. Okay, fourth one, focus on positive and moving towards positive things more than away from negative. So research has shown that if something is like action orientated, behavior orientated, it's much more likely that you'll succeed than if you're choosing to avoid something or being away from negative. That's much, much harder to do. So focus it on something that you really want, that's going to really support you in some way. Figure out what your why is. Like, why do you want to be doing this? What is the feeling you're going to achieve from doing this? How are you going to feel by achieving these goals? If you base it on emotion, you're much more likely to succeed than if you're just basing it on, well, I just want to do it because I want to prove that I can. You're less likely to succeed with that frame on your goal. And then, like I said, build in accountability and or support. So, have a friend that you share it with, or have a friend that's doing it at the same time. Or if it's something a little bit more complex, has a bit more depth to it, get coaching support, or if you need it, counseling support, or whatever it is you need to help you have the resources for success. Because the last thing we want is to not succeed in the goals that we put in, because it makes you feel rubbish. And really and truly what we want is to succeed, give ourselves that boost of confidence, to know that what we set out to achieve made us feel the way that we intended it to make us feel. And if we're really fortunate, it might kind of move us along in the growth pathway, or it might help us move closer towards like a bigger picture goal. So they're the ideals and the best approaches. And then I'm going to, like I said, share 4 with you. I'm just going to pause for 2 seconds to have a slurp of hot chocolate and let you ask any questions if you wanted to. Okay, that's good. That's really nice. Okay, so my first one, and actually my favorite one, is something that I first saw through Gretchen Rubin, who has a really great podcast actually with her sister Liz. I think it's called Happier with Gretchen Rubin. I can't remember. I've got it saved on my Spotify. And she, last year, when we were all like lockdown, not in great spots, she shared this 21 for 21 list. And I really loved the idea that it's just 22 ideas, or 22, or in that case 21 ideas, and they're fun and they're creative and they're things you want to do, and they're not big, they're not like, they don't involve lots and lots of steps to get there. They're like single things that you can do. And so on the next slide, I'm going to share with you my 21 for 21. Please bear in mind that some of these things I have actually ticked off. I just haven't updated the graphic in Canva. So I don't know if you can, hopefully you can see that, but I will pick a couple out for you to, if you can't read that. So read 1 personal development book per month. Well, I was on track for doing that, and I most absolutely have done that. I enjoy reading them, and obviously I read quite a lot for my course, so I've done that one. I am working on redecorating downstairs. The furniture's in place. It's just a case of reupholstering a few things now and a bit of paint, so that's pretty good. There's a few that I didn't do, which I would like to carry on to next year. But I want to give you an idea of like literally how simple they can be. Like, find the perfect pair of denim dungarees. That's something really small, but you know what? It gave me so much joy, like searching for them. And then I found literally the perfect pair, and I love them. I finished fitting out my pantry. So I've got a cupboard under the stairs, and I've built it into a pantry. And so I got the wood and I got the power tools, which were always fun. And so every time I look at that, I'm like, I created that. So every single one of these things on my list are things that I know are going to give me that feeling of confidence or joy or excitement or love or whatever it is. Each one has a purpose. They weren't just a to-do list. They were things that really mean something or are going to make me feel a certain way. And that's what I mean when I say, find your why and figure out and find the feeling, base it in how you feel now, and think, how would I like to feel? What things can I do to help me feel that? So mine is obviously quite random, but there are ideas that you can do. So you've got 22 books that you might want to read in 2022. If you're a keen photographer or artist, there may be things that you've been wanting to paint or photograph. places to visit. I've seen walks as well, a list of different walks if you're a keen walker. So it can be anything that sparks that kind of joy in you. You know, it could be 22 charitable things that you'd like to do in 2022 if you're somebody that's in a position that can do that. So there's really no end to how you can do this. And like I said, that's why it's one of my favorites, because you can really build in this, you know, the emotions to it and how you want to feel. And also you can share it with people. It's a fun one to build in that accountability and support with. And if you do want to do I think there's a hashtag that Gretchen Rubin has, then they can join in on social media, and you can all share your lists. So that's that one. Like I said, this is why you wanted a notepad. Now, if you are thinking that's a great idea, I really love that idea, but my thing that I was kind of in the back of my head, or what I've always wanted to have as a New Year's resolution, or to be honest, changing something in January is a lot of pressure, but if it's something you've always wanted to change, a behavior, then this is the one I'm going to share with you for this. This is the technique for this one. So this may well be you want to build your confidence. It may well be that it's to give up or cut down on something, or it may be that you want, instead of avoiding, which we know is not as successful as change your behavior, it might be that, like I said, you want to meditate or read more, or cook more. So it's behavior change. And the way to do that is to, like I said, layer it up. So first off, always only change one thing. I remember a Boots advert like years ago that was talking about like behavior change and habit change. And I think their slogan was like, change one thing. And so it might not be Boots, somebody might correct me. But anyway, it's true. If we try and change too much at the same time, we basically overload ourselves so much that we adjust, we procrastinate, and we just shut down and we don't do any of it. So choose one, and like I said, base this in how you want to feel and the emotion and what you're going to get from doing it, and then you'll be able to much more clearly pick out the one that you want to do. And when you know what that one is, it's small incremental changes. So I will give you an example. Loads of people know the benefits of mindfulness and meditation. They've tried doing it, they've not got on with it, and so they don't do it anymore. Or they go in with the jet plane mentality and they do it every day for like 5 days, and then they forget one day and they then do it randomly. So a better way to do it is small incremental changes. So doing 2 minutes a day sounds silly, but honestly, if you can do 2 minutes a day for your 66 days, you're going to be in a much better spot than if you try and do 10 minutes a day, because I don't think, prove me wrong, any of you, if you've never done it before, that you would commit to 10 minutes every single day for 66 days to build that new habit and then continue on. So start for 2 minutes a day for a week, and then move on to 3 minutes a day for a week. And there's loads of apps that you can put this into, or you can just listen to music on Spotify if you're a more seasoned meditation person. But places like Calm or Headspace, there's Buddhify, there's Bright Spark, there's loads, and you can literally select how long you want to do it for. So small incremental changes, and that goes for other habits as well. If this is ones that you're building in to your life, not so much the things that you're giving up. But even with that, be realistic about how you're going to do it. And it may be that you give up smoking, but you support yourself in another way, so that it's not just cutting it out completely. You might have nicotine patches, and they're the things that you bring down. You might want to support yourself with something like hypnosis, whatever it might be, but small changes. And I've already gone through, be clear on the motivation. Why are you doing it? How are you going to feel? Why is it going to feel so great to do this behavior change? And work to your strengths. So are you a morning person? Are you a night owl? Are you an extrovert? Are you an introvert? You know, do you like to tick boxes? Are you somebody that's a completer finisher who likes to get things done and say, yep, it's done and I've done it thoroughly? Or are you somebody that more likes to go with the flow? Bear these things in mind when you're thinking about how you're going to change that behavior and play to your strengths. I've already talked about getting support and accountability, but map out, then finally working to your strengths as well, map out your plan for the year. So my favorite way to do this is a mind map. It's not for everyone, but you could do quite easily just a spreadsheet or boxes, map out for the year. How are you going to do that? How are you going to break it down? I've got a template that I'm really happy to share with you that might make this easier. So if you want that, just send me a connection and I'll send it out to you. But if you can map it out, like get a massive poster from the stationery store, map it out so that it looks colorful, it looks exciting, it invites you to carry on and to get this done. Like put in little goals, like give yourself a sticker chart, whatever it takes to keep you focused and build in that success. I talk a lot, FYI. What's the time? We're good, we're okay. We're halfway through and we're actually perfect. So another way of doing an alternative New Year's resolution, or any change, any resolution that, like I said, does not have to be January, is this idea of word of the year. And I'm sure loads of you have heard of this. Some of you might have done it and some of you might be thinking, what is that? But this is where you kind of focus on the positive change. And like we said, this is more likely where you're going to succeed rather than avoidance or moving away from things or trying to avoid negative things. So it's kind of focused on the positive. This looks really confusing, but bear with me. Feel free to take a screenshot for this one if you are really keen on the idea of word of the year. So first off, how you start is you make a list, and I've talked about this a lot, and you're going to be like, Colleen, I get it, I've heard it. Make a list of what you want to feel. Bring in the emotion. Emotion is, you know, we have a lot of them. You know, we feel a lot of things. We don't often necessarily give words to our feelings. This is kind of a great exercise in self-awareness as well. But they are the great motivator. They're the thing that's going to help you make these changes, because you will think about how you want to feel. And you can even bring in visualization to this and really color in the picture about how it's going to feel and what you're going to experience by achieving these goals. That will really help your motivation as well. So you make a list of what you want to feel or experience in more of in the next 12 months. And this can be journal work, this could just be a list, bullet points. You could even just sit and think about it, whatever it takes, just thinking about how you want to feel. And then you kind of look at all of those words and see if there is a common theme. Like, are there things that come up a lot that are kind of similar words or similar ideas? And is there, then you can group them, but generally then you summarize that. So you like, well, confidence is coming up a lot. Like, I really want to feel more confident in myself. Or I really want to feel more self-esteem. Or it might be that you want to, like, it might be like self-care, like, or abundance, like whatever it is that kind of brings those words together. And it might just not be one word, it could be like a short phrase. And there's no rule to this. It's really whatever works for you, because you could look at a word and it could feel completely different for you to how it would feel to somebody else. And it's so that's why it's personal to you. And the same with if you had a small phrase or a tagline, it's going to be about you and about how you feel, because you know the process that's gone into choosing that word. So that's your next step. And this word becomes like your lens. It becomes how you filter the world around you, and it helps guide your decisions and your behaviors. That is the idea behind it. So it's not just like saying, my word of the year is, I don't know, abundance. That was one of mine. And to me, that meant like joy and happiness and feeling relaxed and kind of being able to go with the flow without the pressures or getting overly stressed or burnt out. That's what it meant to me. but to somebody else, it might mean something completely different. But I would use that word to think, do I say yes to this client or not? Like, does this feed into the feeling that I want? Does this encompass this word and this feeling to me? Would this decision or this choice support me in that? And if the answer is no, then it's a no. But likewise, it can kind of help you if you are feeling worked up or stressed or deflated or a low mood or whatever it might be, where you're not feeling good. You can go back to this word and think, okay, so I know that's how I wanted to feel. How can I just get 1% closer to that feeling? Because I know what that feeling is. I've visualized it. I've worked on it. I've thought about it. I know what that is. What can I do? What small thing can I do right now to get 1% closer to that? So this becomes kind of your guide for the year. And so it's kind of an alternative way of self-growth and supporting yourself. That's a little bit more fun, a little bit more out of the box. And put your word places. Like if you work on a laptop, put it on your laptop. If you are working from home, like stick it on the fridge or by the kettle. I've had people do really nice artwork for it and put it up on the wall. So whatever works for you, really. But the more ways you can interact with it, the better. So if you are a journaling person, write about it. If you, are quite an audible learner, like you're more drawn to learning through sound, then create a Spotify playlist that gives you those same feelings. If you're more a visual person, obviously you have your art, so just interact with it as much as you can and use it as your guide or your lens. Cool. And then the last one is kind of your more stereotypical way of doing things, but with a slight tweak. So monthly goals, and like kind of the tagline for this is to break it down. Don't make it too big, make it realistic. So this is your plan. Again, screenshot this. This isn't like precious stuff. This is what I want to share with you through what I've learned. You choose 12 smaller goals. They don't have to be the same thing. Like they don't have to all be related to, I don't know, redecorating your house. They can be completely unrelated things. So one might be about health and eating. One might be about like inner health. So your mindset. One might be about your kids, something to do with supporting your kids in something. It can be completely random. And I would brain dump down. So I would literally sit there and think, what are some things that I've been sitting here saying, I wish I could do blah, 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 or wish I'd done, or wouldn't it be nice if? Those are your goals. And they can be stuff for you. They can be stuff for your kids. They can be stuff to do with your lifestyle, your health. Like I said, sky's the limit with this one. But you're breaking it down into 12 things. So one per month. And then from that, you can break it down into weekly goals. So I would, if you're allocating them month on month, and you've got your 12 kind of what I call master goals, I would start with the lowest hanging fruit first. So your January goal, your January master goal would be something slightly more easily achievable than perhaps like your, I don't know, July goal. July is generally when we start. June, July is when we're most kind of productive in the year. For us parents, summer is always a really tricky one to get much done, and September is sort of like our January. So when the kids go back to school, so again, that's a tough month to kind of motivate yourself. Again, you're very pie in the sky in September, so be realistic. And then you want to break those master goals, like I said, down into mini weekly goals. So what things can you do that week that is going to bring you closer to that monthly goal? And so your monthly goal can't be something massive like redecorate the house in a month. It might be, I don't know, like mine was to retheme my downstairs because I had loads of random furniture and I wanted it just to be more cohesive. That could be a month goal because my downstairs is literally one room. But yeah, make it realistic. And then you break your mini weekly goals into single daily steps. And these are, like I was saying right at the beginning, these are like teeny tiny, like smallest, tiniest steps that you could possibly take, like something easy that you can work into your day. And again, with this, get like a big poster or do your Excel spreadsheet, or I don't know how, like if you're an audible person, you might want to, you've got like a voice recorder on your phone, so you could like voice record what your plans are. So do whatever it takes to kind of make it motivational and make it feel good, and see the end goal for each of the months and think, that's going to be amazing. I'm going to feel so incredibly amazing when I get to the end of the month. And doing it this way means that it's not like you've got something huge to do for the year that just seems insurmountable, far too big. And, you know, you, like I said, you get halfway through January and you're like, I can't keep this going, like it's too much. Doing it this way is more exciting, it's more fun. Like I said, they could be related and build into each other, or they can be completely random, but it makes it more exciting. It just makes it a little bit more interactive. And also there's less delayed gratification. You don't have to wait an entire year to achieve your goal. With this one, it's just month on month. And you know what, if you don't achieve it, so what? It moves on. I didn't achieve all of my 21 for 21 goals. And that's okay. Do you know what? I'm damn proud of the ones that I did manage, because it's been a tough year for us all. And the ones that I didn't do, I'm going to carry over. So it's a lot in your attitude as well, and remembering that it's not a success or failure situation. And all of these ones that I have shared with you have got that in mind, because as single parents, we're really hard on ourselves, and we are generally time poor. And so setting big, huge, lofty goals that aren't realistic is a really easy way to self-sabotage. So bear that in mind, that is not a success or failure thing. It's just about growth. It's just about doing something for yourself that helps you feel good, that brings you closer to that feeling of what you, how you want to feel, or how you want your lifestyle to look, or what you want to be doing. That's what this is about. This isn't about just doing a year's goal because it's January. Like, well, that's rubbish. Like, don't do it because you think you should. Do it because how it's going to make you feel. Like, what are you going to achieve? And just build that into your head and think, I'm going to feel so incredibly amazing if I do these things. And they could be tiny things. Like I said, one of mine was getting a pair of dungarees. I mean, to most people, that's not a goal, but it is for me, because of how it made me feel. And every time I wear them, I feel amazing. So it's literally about you and how you feel and your plans, not about what anyone else is doing, or the fact that it's New Year's resolution. So that's it. I shared a Frollo proverb before. This isn't a Frollo proverb, and I checked, this is not copyrighted because it's too old. So no Frollo is an island. Lean on the community, ask me, I'll very happily support you guys in your goals, and get accountability through the community and let them kind of be on this journey with you. We're not, it can sometimes feel really lonely being a single parent, and it can feel like people don't get you. And particularly this time of year coming into January, it sometimes can feel a lot of pressure. And I think it's really important to remember that hopefully through Frollo, you've found a sense of belonging and you've found your people that get it. So lean on that community, you know, talk to people, find a little group, you know, whatever it takes, but don't feel like you're doing this alone. Whatever your goal is, absolutely not. Like, let's share in the joy, you know, sharing the good times, sharing the more difficult times. Let's just support each other as much as we can. And if you have any, so if anything I've said today, you're like, yeah, but, or you're sitting there mulling things over and you're like, actually, I'm not sure I can do this on my own, or my thing that I want to do isn't quite as simple as that, or whatever it might be, this is how you get in touch with me. Email, and that's my website, or Instagram. I'm pretty active on Instagram, and there's loads of I share loads of free resources on Instagram. I'm not one of these people that puts everything behind like a gate. I'm very much, I feel like I've been put on this planet to help people, and that means that things have to be accessible. So I'm very happy to share things. If I can help you, I will do. And like I said, on Instagram, there's loads of like free advice and free support. So go on there. And if I can help any of you, please just ask. I'm generally, I would hope everyone would be quite a friendly person. And so just honestly ask me if you've got any questions.